wonderful new year in 2024. Getting to see all the amazing things happening in this space. It's been really interesting, especially over the last 2 months. Just seeing the market get way more exciting, way more valuable. But it was also really interesting just to reflect on the whole year, on just what 2023 meant, and especially when it comes to what we've been doing here at Tribe. We felt it'd be important to kind of use this time to not only reflect on the path, specifically, really having an honest conversation of what we learned, what we did well, but also at the same time, like, where did we go wrong? Where could we have improved? And that's what we're going to use this chat for, to kind of give a lot more clarity on that front. But also at the same time, I think one of the other things I really want to be able to do is honor people in this community. One of the amazing things about Tribe has been all the individuals who've come together to support the vision, support the opportunity and learning, the sharing of alpha and insights. It's such a powerful element that I really recognize that the only way this works is allowing you as individual community members to shine through. And so many people have played such a critical role that we also want to honor them, and we'll have some cool ways of honoring them here today. So really, we're going to break this up into a couple of structures for the core conversation. First, we're just going to talk about like some of the high level milestones, just talk about what are the numbers that mattered in regard to Tribe, what were we trying to set out for, how did we change, how do we develop, and what are those next steps. I think we want to just hear that because I think that's always important. Then the second part of this is we're going to talk about what we did right and where we went wrong. Right? We're going to talk about the highs and the strengths of the organization. Then we're going to talk about the weaknesses and the areas that clearly need to improve, and hit those head on, right? And we'll have some really good conversations. We'll talk about tabula rasa. We'll talk about a few other elements here too. And the goal is really, like we said, have an honest reflection of those insights. And that will then lead to kind of the core conversation is, how does that change now based off those insights of what we received over the last 2023, over this last year? How do those insights roll into understanding what this entity can be or should be moving forward? And in doing so, what we've realized, just very simply put, is that we want to really make sure we're realigning these pieces to honor the biggest builders here, right? And I think there's just so many cool people that are doing this. We have such amazing talent. How do we put them front and center and really allow for that? Then lastly, what we'll close out here today is that we're going to do a bunch of honorary rewards for community members. We'll be honoring the first roughly 10 community members here today. And then additionally, there'll be ongoing community honors for the next like 30 to 60 days, which will be nominees created by you guys, nominees and voted by you guys as well. And like we said, it's going to have this really nice opportunity to reward the community members that have been here, that have been supporting, and we see them always in the trenches. And, a lot of you are already here too. And then, of course, yeah, as Frank the Tank is asking, but of course, kind of comes in. We'll sprinkle in some raffles, right? We'll sprinkle in some fun stuff that could kind of have a part of this conversation and kind of where we're going. So, we could kind of start off. You know what? Actually, here, let's do this. Let's actually start with a raffle really quickly. It does seem like it's a fun way of kicking off. I think one thing that's always fun here is, of course, making sure that we continually find different ways to give you guys allocation upside. And airdrops has been one of our favorite ways of doing it. And of course, our amazing system here. So if you guys want, we could head to the village market real quick, and I'll just kind of run this for. I'll just run. I don't know. What do you guys want? We could give a, how about this, a Poglin. We'll give you one of the rarest Poglin we have in our treasury, which I think on like OpenSea is like top 20 rare. Top 20 rare. Description Poglin. Here, let me go get the link for that Poglin. Um why not give you guys one of the rare ones here is always fun. Give me just a second, and I'll get this actual link out for this Poglin. Oh, little Poglin, where are you? Here it is. Oops. No. Where'd you go? One sec, one sec, one sec. uh, Come on, OpenSea. Let me see my. Okay, great. That took a little bit longer. That looks pretty cool. He's ranked 21 overall according to OpenSea. I don't know what that means. You could take it as you wish, but I'll drop it in the description here directly. We're gonna run this one for about 20 minutes. The role here is you'll get the holiday Poglin airdrop, but you'll get the one of one. And the price for this one will just be 50 relics for anyone to win this one. Pretty cheap. And let's go. Let's just run that one. We'll give you the rarest Poglin airdrop here real quick. And we'll do a few more along the way. If you want to join, feel free to enter that and we'll kind of keep the conversation going. So, again, this is kind of where this gets really fun. Agathon, the link is in our village market. So you should be able to see it there. Oh, here, Agathon, I could help you with that. Agathon. There you go, Agathon. You should now be able to enter that here as well. Should be good to go. So guys, really, we'll kind of do a few more of these raffles all the way through to kind of unlock this. There'll be a bunch of diamond raffles in the next diamond roundtable call here as well. So don't worry, we'll have some more opportunities here. But of course, we're going to keep giving you guys more different opportunities as well. Here, James, I'll add you as well. It's been pretty cool to see so many of these users coming in. And then we'll kind of start going through the big updates and the big details of what we learned in this past year. I think that's going to be like a really fun way of having a deeper conversation, and in that conversation there should hopefully be good insights on what this entity has been trying to build and trying to scale here as well. So, as we look back to 2023, one of the biggest things we started to realize is, we really needed to figure out a way to drive greatest value to our community. And the primary way we had identified this in a bear market was through allocations. And when we look back on 2023, we became pretty much one of the largest allocation giants in the market. We were able to bring in about over 11,000 whitelist spots to this community, right? Almost a total of 1,000 spots on average per month, which is a pretty crazy number. Some of these were garbage, but a lot of these were great. And when we mean by great, it created over 3,500 or 3,800 of net ETH value to our community, right? That's like just mind boggling numbers to realize that we can give out that type of allocation with huge wins, right? We're thinking about, big partnerships, right? We had some of the largest allocation for grapes. We had some of the largest allocation for ZTX. We had the largest allocation for Weebox, which is doing incredibly well, right? Where we had some of the largest allocation across the board, even more recently in Farcana as well. And we're able to also get a small allocation into Overworld. The idea always has been is giving value and distributing this both not only to diamonds but non-diamond holders alike. There's kind of this awesome opportunity, right, for this kind of vision and for this market to kind of scale forward. And I think that's been really exciting to see, and seeing where those rewards and returns have got to this point for each and every one of you as well. So because of this, right, the biggest opportunity has been, in this bear market, by still getting allocation, we're still getting you guys access to your whitelist here as well. Right. The next thing that we started to realize as we started to even build and moving further, some of the other interesting metrics became around building this live audio content. This kind of came as a surprise. This wasn't something that we were ever planning to build. But the crazy thing in our community is the average active listener has heard me say bye-bye 38 times in 2023, right? Which is crazy, right? The average listener has put in 38 hours in this community as well, which is just another major element here, right, in this kind of market. So this is kind of why I'm really excited because we had this opportunity to kind of have way more conversation, way more opportunity, and way more communication with each and every one of you. And in doing so, right, it just led to a massive amount. The crazy thing is there's a few of you who've actually heard "bye-bye" over 300 times, right? Which is also pretty crazy too. When we're looking at this, right, you're seeing just very quickly this market has really appreciated the idea of live audio content, right? And I think this is kind of the element of what we've recognized overall as we kind of start building is massively making sure that we're able to give real language, real conversations, real details, all kind of unfolding in real time. And that's what we want to keep doing, right? We really want to make sure we're unlocking this stuff at a pretty consistent level for each and every one of you. So, really big on that front, too. The other third thing that we saw is that we were able to have these amazing experiences across Tribe, right? And it was essentially these elements that went from, live action role playing in Reapers, where it led to direct and these kind of crazy entertaining AMAs. I'm sure you guys remember some of the earlier AMAs in the world from guys like Kira Corp and whatnot. But we also had really thoughtful AMAs and deeper conversations with some of the bigger builders in this market as well. We also found this really interesting system in the secret chamber and the village market and relic raffles. The ability to actually own your currency all the way through, right? And with that currency consistently earning, right, you had this opportunity to keep getting, right, allocation to our world, and you could choose, right, where you want to apply those returns. And that's also something that I'm really excited about because it means that we get to continually ensure that we're bringing that quality of content each step of the way. But also, what it meant that, it allowed you guys to truly be able to own your access. That was probably one of the biggest things that we kind of understood from all of these is owning your access became really special, really valuable, but is also almost a replication of Web3. You were betting, right, on this opportunity on different projects based off the knowledge you got, right? Whenever we were giving out allocation, the really interesting thing was is that, it almost always was paired with an AMA. So you were getting a live conversation, you were getting a live debrief, you were getting the insights that you could build around if that was worth your time. We actually think that's a really fascinating way for people to continue to navigate through Web3 rather than the kind of arbitrary raffles, blind raffle only structure. There should be that intention. And that's kind of what this entire relic currency unlocked, which we think is, again, a very powerful system that many people should be taking over. And then, of course, one of our favorite things that we saw as we were kind of wrapping up the year was convincing crypto Twitter that the entire Ronin community, right, was bots, right? The idea that we could have this large amount of concurrency, be able to move to any kind of location and make people think that we have the largest bot army in the world. But in reality, right, what we had was a very loyal user base, a depth of loyalty, a depth of value, and we massively appreciate you guys on every front of that. It really allowed us to be able to, of course, have a very large influence for live audio moving forward, which I think is going to be a very key factor as the market moves forward. And again, if we then look at the other recap of 2023, I think one of the most important things we also recognize is just the love of our pixel art. One of the amazing things has been is that, just these beautiful, absolute stunning pieces across the board. We've built so many worlds, so many characters that have depth of beauty, depth of interest, depth of optimization, and it spans so many verticals, right? Which is super exciting. And it's not just PFPs, it's not just these standalone characters, it's also understanding, right? There's also full visuals, right? Animated scenes that are just next level, right? It could start with, as simple as, when we first started this entire journey with each and every one of you, it started with Lost Realms. Like, when we started with Lost Realms, right? I mean, like the initial characters and PFPs were playable pieces, right? That was the initial vision for the company. Here are like a few of those ones if you want a quick memory jog of some of our favorite characters, which, again, has been really fun to see. And kind of with this, right, what's amazing is that we kept expanding this pixel art even further. So this pixel art even went further to then start creating PFPs, because what we realized is as we built this entire world and this entire vision around the Lost Realms ecosystem, it needed more of an identity ownership, which has been historically always been PFP driven. So even though we have these like cool characters, like check out this Magma Lord idol character here as well, which is pretty amazing, right? This is just like a crazy looking character, all from these kind of early worlds, right? And this Magma Lord is beautiful. This is exactly a character you'd want to run into. If you remember Druck, if you remember all these other elements, there's this beauty that's still hidden, and we think there's going to be a lot of cool ways to unearth that here in the future. But the other cool thing that you could also see as well is, we were initially going for a game, right? A game that would essentially be a turn-based RPG, but then it essentially slowly recognized that with FTX's collapse, that ERC20 games weren't really going to be a fit at that time. But we were playing around with a lot of cool stuff, which I think has been really interesting, right? Just seeing different ways of what the visuals of the worlds and the games could be, different mock-ups of that as well too, which I think is really exciting. And the idea essentially always has been is how do you then take these characters and then start running them forward to build a brand? And that's when the PFPs of King's Oath really started to emerge. And that's where our PFP game just, I think, starts going to another level. You start seeing these characters, right, that are creepy and amazing and detailed, unlike almost any other PFP you've ever seen. But the other fun part is, we also made these very much, directly animated, which we thought would be such an amazing thing, right? And I think there's a lot of opportunity there as well too. So if you look at these beautiful PFPs, there's the Elf Lord, there's this insanely crazy looking we call it the crown of souls, right? With those little souls trapped in there. One of the creepiest, most favorite things we've ever seen. But our pixel art didn't stop there, right? We started to build quite a few different animated scenes as well. We wanted to build deep story. We even did voice acting here. And that's kind of what exactly where like the soul of this entire team has been, is really around that pixel art. And I want to just give a huge shout out to our team on that front, because with that, it started to open up all the other worlds as well. This is where we started to think through, okay, what can Reapers look like? Right, where we could build a sci-fi version of this world, and we started to get pretty interesting characters from there. It actually all started off with one of my favorite characters. We hope we don't get sued at this point, but from Star Fox, our favorite thing was always around this visual of Star Fox, right? It was this initial idea of a sidekick character that is just ridiculously gorgeous. So with Reapers, here's one of the PFPs that we've chosen for the Reapers world. Like, this thing's so cool, this thing's so magical, this thing just brings you the nostalgia and the vibes that you traditionally would want. And this is really where the pixel art team then started to grow. Not only do we get Reapers, and there's multiple characters in the Reapers world, but then we started to, of course, explore into Ronin, right? And with Ronin, we started to figure out, what can art look like in a slightly different way. And again, I love some of our Ronin characters. Here, let me grab the gold one and maybe Fire Eyes. Let me see if I could grab my Fire Eyes one here as well. Those are probably like the ones that probably reach out in my mind the most. And then this kind of gold one here, again, just killer here, right? Like, this is just going to be a beautiful design and a beautiful strategy of kind of how this world is all working. And again, what the Ronin bot, yeah, the Ronin bot army has been pushing with these beautiful characters as well too. So as you can see, this pixel art has been becomes like our core and our core identity, and it's something that we're really excited to accelerate and what we want to tap into. So there's a bunch of other highs, there are a bunch of other elements when we look back in 2023, but I think it's really important now to talk through, like, really more functionally, what were we good at, right? And what were our weaknesses? This is kind of the way we want to kind of have this depth of conversation, is kind of having this honest reflection and then seeing how we can improve from here. Because as much as that we've had these highs, there's been very clear elements of where we could have been better, where we could have improved, where we could have been ready to execute. So we're going to talk about a lot of those elements here as well as we kind of shift and guide through that. So let's kind of just have the open element of, like, what were we good at? What were we surprised at in 2023 that we as an entity at Tribe really executed on? Well, I think it all stems with, like, one core thing at the top, and that's been really, it's been education. It's something that we value the most. We know traditionally education is, like, not the sexiest thing to talk about. But again, what's amazing about education is that it allows to really bring alignment. It allows to bring better opportunities. It allows us to really be users who are collectively growing and scaling in this marketplace. And in building that education, right, it's allowed us to then build, all the audio content, but it's also having these really amazing text-based conversations with each and every one of you, especially with Diamond users as they bring in their elements, they bring in their insights, they bring in their opportunities. And that's kind of exactly what we started to recognize, is that education still needs to be paramount at what we do, because it's also what we love. We really truly love educating and providing that access and opportunities. So an absolute interesting place that where we wanted to start. The second thing we were good at, well, when it came to our education, I think probably the best medium we had was audio content creation. I mean, essentially going overnight to, essentially have zero audio content into then having lots of audio content was pretty crazy, right? And that kind of allowed us to have a huge, huge opportunity to engage not only you guys, but also the rest of the community here as well. And that's also a very important thing as we kind of think through the long term market. It's really recognizing that the challenge essentially has to be around this concept of how do we get education to you at the right point. And I think, at least with audio, it came in the form of both entertainment and at the form of education. And we're trying to fit a little bit more in that intersection. The third thing that we felt we were really great at is community design. I think our Discord experiences are some of the most amazing things in Web3. I mean, it even goes back way back in the early days, right? Playing with, like, all the crazy stuff. Remember, like, Catch the Stone, remember Judgments, right? All those kind of elements that kind of come through. We realized, like, very quickly, right? Like, it started to kind of have this depth of connection, depth of communication. Exactly. Smoke the crystal, search the mountain. All these elements start becoming a real part of this story, which I think is really important. So what was really cool is that we started to extend that, where we built pretty much an entire eBay auction place, right, into the exact ecosystem. So really what you started to have here as well, you were able to then get a currency. And with that currency, you were able to essentially build out, an entire marketplace that allowed you guys to have real-time bidding, real-time raffles, real-time opportunities. I thought it was really fantastic to be able to unlock that. And we're still continuing that with other different experiences like voting infrastructure, right? If you look back and seeing the health of the voting infrastructure, specifically when it comes just to the Reaper's world, it's mind boggling how powerful it is, right? It's mind boggling how all of this stuff has really led to some insane retention numbers as well. And I think this is kind of the other important thing, too, is that as we kind of scale this out, the biggest opportunity now is understanding how do we now like take this vision and take this market, into into an interesting endpoint where the experiences lead to an interesting culmination, right? And that's been an element that we have actually struggled with, and we'll talk about that here shortly. What else did we get right? I think we'd say we got pixel art really right. Clearly on the pixel art front, we're clearly top class. Shout out to Gokce, Irina, and Meta, Piotr, Mahmoud. Like the ideas of how this pixel art team has continually been in the trenches and has scaled out multiple worlds that we could fall in love with. I think it's something that is incredibly powerful, incredibly special, and incredibly nostalgic, right? And I think that's again what we want to continue to be able to do and continue to be able to unlock here as well. So, when it comes to then what else we did good, I think the last thing we noted, of course, is allocations, right? Especially through AMAs. This is, of course, that true drip of value that the market wants to see. And allocations have been a really great way to kind of reverse the structure, right? Where essentially, rather than asking you guys for ETH and capital to be able to get access to mints, we were able to flip it where it's, hey, you're able to share your time. And by sharing your time, we could then drip you valuable assets from hundreds of projects, right? Hundreds of projects across the board. So I think that's kind of like another really exciting thing about what we're building and what we're trying to sustain here too. And this is really what's allowing the organization to kind of have a really healthy baseline. But with that baseline, right, and we reflect on all the pros of the last year, there's also elements that were very clear weaknesses. And these are the weaknesses that we also want to address head on and make sure that we can also be significantly better moving forward, right? And when it comes to this, the important thing is recognizing what are those mistakes? How can we improve from those mistakes? And more importantly, how can we ensure that there's better outcomes that still put the community first? That's what we care most about here. That's always been the entire sentiment of this entity, right? Is drive value back to the wider community and do it at a consistent pace. And I would argue that Tribe has been historically one of the best, especially in 2023, in doing that. We want to continue that. But it means that we also have to have that honest internal reflection in on what we need to do and what we need to change in order to improve from our weaknesses, right? Because those weaknesses do exist, and weaknesses exist for, of course, every project. But let's kind of lean into it much more directly and what we could have been doing a lot better here as well. So when we looked at the organization, what we realized is what are we not good at, right? And there's a lot of things that you might want to come up with, a lot of interesting things. But we're going to keep it very direct, right? What are we not good at? We're not good at launching, right? We really are not, right? Like we are straight up absolutely struggling with that because we've essentially been very much conservative in our approach, right? And conservative in our approach is very important to recognize that, again, long term, right? We know this market was historically very bare, right? And again, a lot of people recognize very quickly, right, that again, this market, did shift in the last 60 days. But prior to that, prior to meme land, right, it's been absolutely brutal, right? It was an absolutely brutal, right, on that front. So because of that, the challenge ended up becoming is how can you find those windows, right, of opportunities to launch. And to be very honest, we should have been in a much better position in doing so, but we weren't. We got caught flat footed. We got caught flat footed when we thought the market was probably going to go more bearish, when in reality it turned into bullish. We actually overemphasized allocation rather than launching our own projects, which again was another mistake, right? And this is kind of the other thing here as well is recognizing in this market is that it's not only about recognizing when it's bear or bull, it's being ready to have your business to be able to react when it's bear or bull. And Tribe wasn't ready for that. There were bull opportunities and bull windows, but we got caught trapped. And that's something that's really important for us to understand because we need to make that change here as well, right? I think it was just a big, big thing. Yep. I think ICOB says, to be honest, I don't know if we vacation. I think it was just a huge waste of time on maybe a project like Ether. Totally understood, right? And we could talk about that as well. Is that in this kind of experimentation side, we were pulled into other experiments in a bear market that ended up costing us in the transition into a bull, right? And I think that's kind of the other thing, right? Like what we understand here long term, it's how do we make the right experiments consistently moving forward, and again, like how we're going to sustain it. Yeah, as ICOB says, yeah, I don't fault you for the Ether play, by the way. I know you don't. Like you said, worth a punt, but it came with consequences, right? And I think that's exactly the language that is fair, real, and true, right? And I think that's the other important thing right here as well. I think this is kind of the challenge here too, is like our goal is really recognizing that, hey, where can we be smarter with our time? Which then goes into what's the second area, right, where we're not good at. We massively, massively mismanaged by taking on multiple projects, right? Like, let's be real. We've been trying to create too many worlds. Like, I tell myself, like, come on, tribe, get our shit together, right? We don't need to build all these different worlds and have them just waiting, right? Because you guys know we just shown all this amazing art, right? And that's kind of the other thing, right? Is that all this amazing art exists, right? And that's kind of the other thing, right? Is that with all this amazing art, we need to make sure that we're prioritizing the right projects because we were doing so much internally and because we were doing so much externally, we ended up getting consistently pulled in the wrong directions. And we take ownership of that. We massively made that mistake. If we look back, right, what should we have is we should already have a tradable asset that is in all of your guys' hands beyond diamond. We don't have that. That is a very clear mistake, right? Absolutely clear mistake. And this is kind of why we now need to take ownership of that and recognize what's on our plate and make those changes. And this is the challenge of course, being an experimental studio. This market shifts so quickly, right? So quickly, right? And I think this is kind of the other thing, right? As the market kind of sustains and scales up, how do we get this exact vision to be better balanced, right? And more importantly, making sure that we don't get stretched so thin. The third area where we realized that we massive improvements was understanding how to better maintain constant updates and comms with all of our changes. I think again, we've been a very experimental studio, and it means that we did a lot of shifts and a lot of different movements. And to be honest, the only people who really were aware of all decisions and changes were primarily hyperactive users, like the top 1 to 5% of our user base that was consistently showing up to events. And all of you guys are amazing on that front. But what became the challenge is that we overly relied on live audio for information exchange, right? And I think that's kind of the other thing is that if we're only relying on audio for those informations, it then leads to this kind of echo chamber, right? Of understanding, okay, wait, what was said there? What was said there? And it starts becoming a much larger problem here as well. And this is kind of the thing is that we need to be way better. We need to be very blunt. We need written updates way more consistently than we need audio content, right? That's exactly what it needs to be. We made the mistake because we optimized for what was easiest, right? Like, and I think that's kind of why, our biggest challenge has been is how do we build both of those funnels and flows to be very concise and effortless, and that's always been the challenge, right? Historically, creating live content was very easy for us, but following up that with the exact written updates for every one of our events was a very near impossible task for us, and we didn't prioritize it accordingly. So we're going to take a shift there. We're going to take a little bit less audio and more written, right? That's going to be another major thing that you're going to see as a quick shift here, kind of moving forward. The fourth thing that we kind of ran into as a very clear area is that we weren't keeping shit simple, right? We weren't good at it, right? Simple works in Web3. That's like the one big advice, that if I had to take my own advice that I give to a bunch of other projects, it's the same advice I have to give myself. It is keeping this shit simple. We didn't, right? We tried to absolutely play way more advanced games. We tried to play way larger, partnerships and thinking through where the project can be. Like a good example of this was Tabula Rasa. With Tabula Rasa, we had this really compelling vision when it initially started, right? It was kind of on two fronts. It was this idea of co creation, which was a very powerful thing when it first started. And in that co creation, right, what was really cool is that you were able to kind of have your own character here as well and kind of unlock this kind of moving forward. And because of that, I think that's actually really important too, is because, this whole market is starting to realize that, as you scale up and as you're kind of sustaining in anything you're doing, you're almost like playing this fear of FOMO behind you, right? Trying to really understand where you're going to go, where you're going to scale, where you're going to sustain. And I think this is like the other major challenge as well, is that very few people can really actually recognize how this market is scaling. And this is where we did wrong, is that we kept adding more layers, and more layers of complexity. And in doing so, we lost it, right? We lost a lot of these projects. So with Tabula Rasa, it started with this co-creation. Then there was this interesting idea that we had never ever considered of actually launching a publishing arm, right? And in that publishing arm, what we started to recognize just very directly is that, hey, Web2 comics can have a massive disruption layer. It's actually a really great idea that the Keensight team came up with and kind of got into scale, which I think is really powerful here as well. But when we started to see those pieces, we're like, okay, can we use our advantages in Web3 and apply it over to Web2? And because of that, we tried it. And what was been really cool is that, again, it was started off in an interesting way. We ended up ditching Discord and Twitter, and we switched it out, right, with Instagram and YouTube. And it was a very interesting approach to kind of be able to solve for this. But what became very clear is that all of our growth advantages were not translating, right? We tried to make this way too complex, and it wasn't anywhere in our wheelhouse. We are a Web3 community at our core, and we made a massive mistake at not at trying to believe that we could cross over that chasm and do it also in almost a part-time fashion. And that was just very clear, is that we have to keep this stuff simple. And a good example of this of keeping it simple is Tabula Rasa and that team. Shout out to the Keensight side of the equation, right? Like Keensight and Bruno and Zetman have massively knocked it out of the park of keeping it simple with Ink on BTC. If you're not familiar, you should absolutely be following them at the moment right now, right? Because they're getting the exact same co-creation process. They're putting it onto ordinals, and then their strategy was just very direct. Small supply, build a Genesis collection, get really great influencers involved as well, and curate. It's fucking brilliant. They're proving to us that we were being too complex and they have kept it simple, right? And I think that's also another really important thing on where we want to give credit and where we want to give a lot of support to as well. But we made that mistake. We didn't realize that. We spent too much time on the experiment, right? It wasn't that we weren't doing anything. There was always something consistently happening on Tabula Rasa, but it didn't hit the results and the expectations there as well. And we want to be very clear about that too, is that we need to be better on that front. So what that also led to is then what was the other major thing that we're not good at? It's honestly life balance, right? Getting healthy nights of sleep. I know Web3 doesn't sleep, but we all need to sleep, including myself, right? We need to take a much more balanced approach from here. What's actually crazy is that a lot of our problems stem from that imbalance, right? What it is has been by overemphasizing live events, it creates a lot of this information debt. but also by doing all these live events and chasing every allocation that we possibly can get, it also leads to this idea of just overextending your resources and just being tired. I mean, to be very honest, there's been many times that you've seen that I've been up and running for a couple of hours, right? And because of that, right? And what we've seen is that it's fine when we're in bull to be able to do that. Maybe some opportunity in this kind of small little bull, right? You'll recognize just very clear is that you have to have an understanding of where this market is going. So for us, right, we really, really recognize that. We understand that, and we need to find significant more balance here as well. But it's hurt us. It's we've made these mistakes. These mistakes have hurt us. It's hurt with the alignment with our community. It's hurt with the alignment of our team. It's hurt with the alignment of external parties as well. And that's the thing that pains me most, right? Because the reflection on this community should not at all, right, be anything around you guys, right? And I think that's the other thing here as well, is that whenever we're trying to build, whenever we're trying to scale, whenever we're trying to understand and build, we need to make sure that we're really, of course, putting in the right time and the right support. So, again, these are all of these major, major challenges that we've seen in the last year. And I'm sure there's even more mistakes that we could talk about, and we'll even bring that up into conversations over the next 1 to 2 weeks, right? Because I think this is the other thing, right? Is that we absolutely need to recognize where these elements are going to be. So there's so many cool things still for us to take away. There's still a lot more insights that we want to tap into, but we wanted to be just direct right here on what we're seeing, right? And make sure that we can give you guys some more upside along the way. And yeah, Mike, you're right. Like, the process, especially with Supercell, is a good example of very large Web2 gaming company. You're exactly right. And what matters is how we respond to those errors with different approaches. And that's exactly what it is, right? We do need to respond, but we also need to shift the value in favor of you guys more and the team more as well. And those are some of the elements that we're going to talk about here as well too shortly as we start building this, right? And that's kind of the other thing, right? Is that we are making some changes, we are making some shifts, we are dealing with some of the elements of those mistakes, but our goal is to make it right. So let's talk about how we're going to make some of these elements right in the meantime. And again, there's still a lot of ongoing conversations, but I want to be very clear on one of those on areas that we can already commit to, which is going to be pretty exciting because I think it's going to be stuff that will really align with each and every one of you guys as well too. So as we kind of go into the details here, right, the biggest thing is, right, so with all of this in mind, what should we be doing? Well, it's very simple. We need to restructure Tribe to really just be community oriented first at every level and build for that collective value on your behalf. So, again, moving forward, it's doubling down on where the strengths are and building that on your guys' just education and access, right? That's going to be our simple focus here. We're going to educate on new mints. We're going to help you educate on new games, new tokens, and then we're going to help you understand new airdrop plays as well. Our goal here is to collectively allow each and every one of you to grow your wallet. That's what we're good at. We need to go back to that. We need to emphasize that. We need to drive that. It's not just that we have to give you upside with a whole bunch of different whitelists. We should be teaching you guys absolutely, right? Like, this is something that we need to absolutely give you guys a whole bunch of opportunities that are coming through. But in those opportunities, it means like learning how specifically how excuse me um specifically how AAA games should be working. You should understand how scroll airdrop or wormhole airdrop is playing. These are all the elements that we need to kind of bring in, and in doing so, right, we can then actually get significant more value being created for each and every one of you. So that education and access is going to get way better, and it's going to be coming through more written format as well. We want you guys to be able to actually come into this opportunity here, right? And I think because of this, right, what I'm actually even more excited about, right, is realizing that this is just going to make your content consumption way easier, way better. We hope that this Discord still remains always in your rotation, right? Always something that's worth opening up. We've always been good at that. Let's continue to be better at that. So that's one of the big things that you'll see changed. I think similarly here, right, is that we need to also start getting you guys assets in hand. And that's the other thing that we're gonna do as well. So we actually have a lot of things lined up. There were even bigger plans, before, all of this in play. We've been working on a lot of other things, but we're going to start pulling that back in, right? We're going to start keeping it simple again. And in keeping it simple, what does it mean is that we're going to start getting you guys your NFTs and allowing you to have a representative NFT of your collection, but also we're going to ensure that they have no impacts to you. All of these will be free on the ETH side of the equation as well. And that's the important thing here, is that we want to give you guys not only some choices and some control. So right now we're going to be readying up spirits. So if you have a soul, all of you guys are going to be able to get spirits completely free. And then there's also going to be rarity tied to that as well, which I think is also going to be really exciting. The other thing here as well, like the other big challenge that I can actually make a good understanding here, is scaling up the vision of where the portal key may go. So we do have an idea for that, but what we want to do is we want to keep it more simple. Keep your assets directly. So what's going to be really cool is that, the soul PFP is what spirits are. So that's what you'll be getting. So you'll be getting those first. You also have Ronin that is already primed for a launch. There's a few conversations going there as well. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys control of the voting, right? And that's kind of the other interesting thing, is that you guys will now start choosing collectively as a community what is the next ETH mint to go out, right? There's going to be some really interesting insights and interesting feedback here as well. Diamonds are going to be able to have some, real big value coming forward, which I, give them a lot of credit. They are going to be able to and give us very clear insight. But there's also going to be some elements of collective voting on certain pieces for the wider community, right? And I think that's the other thing, right, is that we want to make sure that we can have that conversation with each and every one of you and give you that value. um, Real quick, as a heads up, we'll probably be going about 15-20 minutes over. For those of you for diamonds, we'll move to the diamonds roundtable right after this as well. But I hope that you guys can kind of get a good understanding that our goal is to give this all back to the community, and we're going to do this with as little friction as possible. And we believe our entire vision on ETH should be optimized for being for free, and of course, unlocked for each and every one of you across the board. So what else are we going to change real quick? Well, we're going to stop trying to do everything. We're going to reduce our focus, right? And we're going to prioritize the focus and reduce our tasks on our plate. So this is something that's already been in play for the last 3 weeks. We've been figuring out ways on how to restructure not only the team, but also understanding what are the projects that we want to take on, and more importantly, what are projects other people want to take on. So one of the other unique things we are talking to right now is we're allowing other partners and community leaders to even potentially partner with us on certain projects where they can take it forward. We just want to see these projects thrive. We just want to see the beautiful art of these elements be out there in your hands and interacting. And we're willing to take the back seat to hand them off to the right partners here as well. And the goal here is that when we do that, we would always still be giving upside to our community and partner builders. It means that if you have whitelist to any of these projects, these are all going to be honored and secured at all costs. But the idea here is that we're a single team. We cannot run 8 different projects, right? That's not our goal. And we're not selling. I want to be very clear. We are straight up giving these assets to strategic partners for no cost, right? What we're doing is that we're trying to get them in potentially the right hands of people who could potentially sustain this in parallel. And these are projects that might go onto different chains. These might be projects that go into different L1s or L2s. You might see these projects potentially have other value here as well. That's kind of the important thing. So what we want to do is we want to build a significant sequence here, right? A sequence of value that is being unlocked that's going to allow all of you guys to be a part of this, but also allows us to take this amazing art and put this into the other people's hands as well. So this is kind of what we're going to be working on next, and we're prioritizing the right projects here. And that's the other thing, is that the votes are also going to be dependent on who wants these projects and who wants to run with a specific project as well. And that's kind of the other thing, right? Is that everything that we're looking at in this market is really trying to recognize and share that everything is going to be able to scale and have a lot of push forward too. Our goal is still to be able to maintain the primary IP and be able to run that on your guys' behalf. So Oath is definitely the one that we are absolutely keeping in. But there's actually like 5 other projects that we've never really talked about. We've maybe teased very briefly with art already being done, right? There's stuff like Fury, yeah, Modern Pro, GM Tomo, if you remember. There's quite a few other elements that are actually just sitting totally in the back, right? Yep, there's Icarus, and these are fully complete art collections, right? Which is kind of nuts. So what we want to do is we just want to focus on what we have here, and what we have here is like Oath and Reapers. Like those seem to be very core. But what we want to make sure is that if there's an opportunity, we can actually share these out with the right partners accordingly. Our goal is not to extract. Our goal is not to take money. Our goal is not to take any of that stuff with any of these partnerships. We're straight up making them fully free, right? And allowing you guys to be able to get access to the same whitelist, same allocation, same art. But of course, hopefully going to allow these projects to spread and grow and get you guys even more access here as well. So that's also going to be another big change as we kind of scale this here as well, and kind of scale this out. Outside of that, right, we're also, speaking about Tabula Rasa, we are right now working on very direct options. And like we said, we're going to give you options, especially if you were a Tabula Rasa holder and payer initially, that is incredibly fair to you guys. So, what I can say is that although certain options are still being fully evaluated, very bluntly, what we can tell you all is that anyone who had paid for a Tabula Rasa will have the option for a full refund here shortly, right? That will be one of the options that is fully on the table. We are also trying to position to see if there's other ways that Tabula Rasa can still move forward. But it's really important to understand is that even though Tabula still has tons of potentials, it's important to recognize that we need the right team to run it, and we're not that right team, right? Very clearly, that's not where our area of expertise is, and it's not the area of strengths we are. So what we want to figure out is there a way to extend Tabula Rasa for other utility across the ecosystem? And in doing so, right, it's going to be there. And of course, Buzz, everyone will be able to see this here as well, on the information on Tabula Rasa, right? You all will get a guaranteed 100% refund on this. Our goal is never to extract you on this. We ran an experiment. The experiment didn't work. We actually massively value you guys for actually trying this. If you're not familiar with Tabula Rasa was a experience that was only unlocked for diamond holders at the moment right now. So it wasn't really deeply communicated, but it was the ability to create your own PFPs. And it led to some really cool things, right? For example, one of the amazing things that we were able to do, right, is that, hey, let's go scale and build a custom PFP, right? That would be out there. Fuzzy says Tabula Rasa sounds like Middle Eastern food, which is pretty funny. But no, really what it was is Tabula Rasa was the idea of a blank slate, right? You get this blank slate rather than waiting for a generative art output. Wouldn't it be cool if you got to actually tell the artist what you wanted them to do? And it was actually a really fascinating way of building that experience. And there's actually amazing art created for Tabula Rasa. Yeah, like Love's got one of them. I think Buzz has his PFP with it as well. These are all custom characters that the individual owners got to add in. It's actually one of the best experiences that we actually ever created. It's actually one of the things that I'd really, really recommend you guys to take a look at. So we still want to give Tabula Rasa its life, But of course, it's going to come down with right, with the right partnerships and the right opportunities. If anyone wants to take that forward, and that's specifically the Keensight team, if they want to take that forward, it'll be up to them, right? And that's kind of the other thing, right? Is that all of these opportunities will still be incredibly fair, right? Even when we make a mistake, we're still going to give you guys 100% of that refund, even with the art being done and completed for you guys on a per user basis. We'll have more information to share about it next week. There's just a few elements on legal and partnerships that we are trying to get right. Lost Reaper asked, "What was the mistake?" We talked about it earlier. The mistake was we took too long. We tried experiments, tried to build a Web 2 product experience around it. Wasn't our style. Wasn't our ability to execute here as well. So because of that, we ended up pulling it back because we realized we wouldn't be able to hit our Kickstarter goals. And in doing so, right, what it felt and what a lot of Diamond users felt, which is very fair, is that they've been waiting too long, right? They've just been waiting way too long on an asset that they had funded about 6 months ago, right? And it wasn't that we weren't doing stuff, right? Because we did 25 live shows. If you remember all our comic shows, we did the Kickstarter. I'm sorry, we did the YouTube shows. We built a lot of art for it as well. There's a lot of comics here as well. And this is kind of the thing is that we built all these like little fun things around this idea, but it didn't get to real metrics. And that's just the state of real business building, right? Like real business building is that you're not going to hit it out of the park. You have to understand where your strengths are. You have to understand where your weaknesses are. That's kind of what we understood very clearly. But what was also really interesting as we kind of looked at the overall market is we realized that we need to make sure that we increase this product experience for you guys on this Discord. So what we're actually going to do over the next week is we're going to update this Discord experience completely. We're going to build this for more education consumption and value add. We're not asking for any more ETH. There's no more souls that you need to buy. There's nothing like that. We don't want your ETH by any means. We just want to give you quality access in a more streamlined fashion. We're going to design just purely educational experiences. And this is the thing is that I hope that, our goal is at a bare minimum is that the quality of our content that we create here in this Discord moving forward still is something that you almost want to check in on a weekly basis, just on what's the next airdrop guide, what's the next breakdown of the next token game meta launch, what's the next breakdown of the NFT project from X or Y. All of that information is now going to start being built here, and we're going to also build really amazing notes. This is the other thing that I think is really important on how we're building is that we could actually scale this up, right? And start building a lot cooler things way faster than we even ever thought, mainly because of AI, right? And I want to shout out, a lot of the amazing people that we've worked with because they've really helped us kind of understand where this market can go with that stuff. So for example, this is like one of the outputs here from one of our amazing community members, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And this was the breakdown from our last AMA from with Overworld, right? I just dropped it in the chat. I know it's a lot of text there directly in the chat, right? But like this is kind of crazy. Is that look how good this information is from that AMA, right? It was a nice conversation. Shout out our boy Wild West Crypto. And we got a lot of good stuff, although not all the information was as factual, right? As we would have hoped from Jeremy here. But this is the type of breakdowns you're going to get for every single AMA, right? Or for every single event. Is that we want to make sure that when you come in, if you can't join for that 60 or 90-minute call, you're still going to have this amazing 5-minute read through that you can grab whenever you want, right? Whenever you want to scale. And that's the good thing is that it'll have the depth of what you're willing to buy and willing to chase. Hopefully that content will be great. Even earlier, I think Wild West Crypto was actually sharing a big understanding uh of the grapes ecosystem. Let me just find that here really quickly. And he also shared this. This is really fantastic as well. Like a lot of people have been wondering what's going on with grapes. And again, imagine being able to come in and ask that question and boom, oh, it's not as formatted as nicely as you'd want with the indents because I copy pasted this poorly, but it just shows you like very quickly, like, oh shit, there's actually a bunch of information, right? That you can actually connect with. And then as Wild West Crypto is kind of hinting at, you'll also be able to chat with this, right? One of the things we're going to work on a little bit in the future, right, is that it's recognizing that, excuse me, is that you want to be able to actually learn. And what is actually the most interesting way to learn in Web3 right now, or actually in life right now? Honestly, it is straight up utilizing AI bots, right? It's utilizing, like, if you ever want to learn something, don't go to Google, go to Chat GPT, right? Have that communication where you're actually asking them to tell you what they're doing, what they're building, what they're scaling, right? And I think that's kind of a very powerful thing that I want to give credit to, and what we're going to start introducing in our process here as well. So as you can see, we're going to layer all this content. But the last thing that we're also realizing that we're going to make with changes here as well, right, is as we go now into a leaner organization, our goal structure now is very clear. We need to make sure that we're driving value for each and every one of you, but it also means that we need to put the amazing community members front and center, right? And that means amazing team members as well. One of the things that I want to give a huge shout out to is our pixel art team. Our pixel art team is killer at this point, right? And in doing so, right, is that in that kind of opportunity of what we've been building, we've had these amazing people to be able to share, and it starts with none other than our boy Gokche. Gokche has just been one of those individuals who's just a power beast on a lot of this art. I wanted to bring him up here just for a little bit, just chat with him, share a little bit on this front, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do some community rewards. And then while also Gokche is chatting with us, I'll do a few more raffles here as well for you guys. Because, of course, who wants more raffles? We might as well get maybe an Ether capsule going and an Ether NFT. Let's get a couple of those things going. But since we have Gokche here, Gokche, man, how you doing, man?
Fantastic, man. I've been like working with the team, all the other names of the four people, you and Piotr, Mete, and Mahmoud. So with them for all these months, we've created lots of art for you, for the community, and we're feeling great, especially with 2024. We were really excited to be launching some of the projects, etc. You know,
Yeah, man. I think that's what's really exciting is that, putting together is now really coming together, and is really hopefully going to be a reason why we can actually start sharing with everyone, right, what the vision is of this beautiful world. And and Gokche's been working on some really cool stuff, right, some really cool characters with the team, right? So for example, we've been playing around with spirits, and these spirits are gorgeous, right? I mean, again, we're still finalizing some of the background colors. Actually, some of you guys will even get some choices here on these spirits, but it's been really, really amazing to kind of bring these characters to life and have a lot more fun with it, right? Whether it be you're a fan of, so the way these spirits are created, these are one of the new things that we have. These are essentially your soul PFPs that you're going to get. And what's really fun with these, I just dropped them here in chat. They'll all be animated. They'll all have like different like visuals and designs here as well. And this is kind of the nice thing is that it's just a little small little totem. But what's also really cool about this is that it's fully animated. So when you utilize them in Discord, it's really cool because your actual PFP is moving when anyone hovers over it, or of course whenever you're talking live on stage. So Gokche, I know you've been working on these spirits, man. Was just curious to hear, man, like what's been your favorite part thus far of kind of walking through this art? Because my biggest mistake I would actually say in 2023 is we haven't got your art out into enough people's hands. I got to fix that now, right? Kind of moving forward. But would love to hear kind of your thoughts and experiences of kind of building in this year as well.
well, first off, you know that we've been together with you. We've been working on this Spirit project on and off for maybe 8 months now, maybe even longer, and we've been iterating. Lots of this started out like this ghost masks only, skull masks only project. There was lots of different body types, etc. We've scrapped like, and maybe even as much art as we have actually put out. So it was a really interesting project. We knew what we wanted to do from the get-go, but to be able to catch up with the ideas that we had, and liking some of the iterations and not liking some of them, etc. It's been really a interesting journey. And I think the best thing that I like about this is like uh, each of these masks has completely different character. Like some of these are like ghosts and scary, a horror movie kind of tropes, etc. And some of them are completely unique. Like some derive from mythology, some derive from other stuff, and some are, just our imagination. So it's really been a different collection from what's out there. And yeah, it's one of the projects that we've been working fully as a five-man team, five, four men and one woman team. Sorry. So
Yeah, and I
it's
think
really yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really cool because right, these spirits aren't meant to be the tradable assets, right? These are going to be soul bound to you guys. It's more about a collecting plus one asset for your world, right? The actual tradable assets we're building are going to be more like Oath, right? And these are the projects that you'll see more value on because again, there's different ways of creating value in wallet. We're not just profit focused only. I know that's what the market historically is always focused on, right? Like, how do we make money on everything? But what we also want is we want to fill your wallets up with art. We want to fill your wallets up with experiences. We want to fill your wallet up with identity. And that's kind of how these spirits serve is that we've literally just created another generative collection for you guys in order to give you more identity to your world and hopefully maybe find one that you really love with your ownership too. So what's going to be really great is we'll have Che up as well on a few more calls as we're really going to start putting the spotlight on him and the team. That's really the big thing here. What I've realized as well is that our whole product, our whole market, our whole vision has been around how do we support the best artists out here, right? And like this is kind of the other thing here, right? Is that everything is around great art, right? Like, and I think this is kind of where we have a huge advantage with this, especially when we think about Ronin, right? I think Ronin's got some of the most amazing art there when we have an opportunity for the ordinal ecosystem. We know what Oath is. We feel there's so much beauty behind that world, and Oath has a few other hidden characters within that as well too, including Project Icarus within that too. So I know Gokce has been working really hard, but Gokce, I really appreciate you jumping up here as well and just sharing, especially because this is a nice transition into kind of the end of year awards that we want to give out because we actually have this kind of interesting thing that we want to reveal, which we've been working on for quite a bit, which has been a physical totem. We really wanted to find that vision here too. So I'll talk about that real quick. Gokce, before we kind of wrap up on your end, anything else you want to talk through or anything else you want to share? I know you've been working quite a bit on your front. Just curious on anything else that's exciting.
Well, we've been working on the new how do you say, new world, new universe that we're launching, and we're really excited on that. I don't know how much you have shared or you want to share it.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't shared
we will,
much. I think that's the fun
yeah,
thing, right? Is that we'll always have something new right around the corner. And I think that's kind of be the fun thing is that, we want those pieces to kind of form. And I think what we're also going to see is a lot of the stuff is going to come right back into Oath, right? Like one of my favorite things about Oath, when we look at it is what those early animated scenes that we built, right? Like just absolutely gorgeous, right? That were kind of top notch, right? It's really what recommended and pushed me to understand that like pixel art as a medium is going to be a massive game changer. So I really want to give a lot of credit here as well on that front and kind of that design. So Gokce, man, I appreciate you as always, man. I'll let you drop down. and then we'll kind of walk through some of these end of year awards here too.
Thanks, man, and thanks all the community.
Amazing. So guys, we kind of wrap up here, I do want to do this really amazing giving and awards to our community, and we have some really cool ways of doing that. But maybe first let's do our favorite thing. Let's go do another raffle here for the community here. Which one do we want? Let's do an ether avatar, random ether avatar. Oops. Revealed ether. Let's run this for 10 minutes. And then we'll make this. You know what? Let's give out a few of these. I want to be nice. I'll do 2 ether airdrops right now for 50 relics if you want to join that one. And then similarly, I'm going to do one for ether capsules as well, and we'll make that 100 relics. We'll do one more for this as well if you guys want to. Ether capsule, unrevealed ether, revealed ether NFT, ether capsule NFT, and then boom, capsule. Awesome. And boom, that one should go out here as well. Oh, it looks like you guys are all slamming the entry on the first one. Hopefully the capsules will go out here real quick, and then I can share a little bit about what we're now on some of these awards and these totems that we wanted to create for the community. Holy cow, dude, there's so many of you here that you've like absolutely frozen up the system, which is crazy. So give it just a moment. You should hopefully see the ether capsules come up, and then we'll transition to the last part of this, where we'll talk about the rewards here for the community and what we're scaling up here for you guys. Because one of the things that we've been most excited about is bringing on a lot of physical totems, right? And this element of bringing you even closer to our community too. And we felt the best way we could do that is through a physical. So we'll share a little bit about how we've designed that and how we built that up. Wow, man, you guys are slamming this so hard that still the village market is thinking on the ether capsule raffle that I plugged in about a couple minutes ago. Hopefully it'll show up here. I'm going to switch back to my core page here, and kind of share a little bit more of some interesting stuff here as well. So let's kind of share some of the other awards here as well, which will be really important. This is kind of the other important thing. Yeah, if you've already won it, you can't win it again. Sorry, Digit. I'm glad that you've won previously before. So one of the things I'm actually going to do really quickly is that in the tavern, I'm going to drop a video that's really cool. What I'm really excited about here is we've had this really unique opportunity to kind of build our own version on of a physical totem for this world. So what we wanted to do is that it showed up as a .mov. Hold on, let me drop that one. Ignore that. That's a bad link. It is a full trailer. Man, I really wanted this. I didn't realize it was going to show up as a .mov. Give me just a second. No, it's definitely not a drainer. It's just a video, but it looks like a drainer, so I don't want to force you guys to do that. One sec. Maybe I could share my screen and stream. It might not be as cool, so I might have to do it I might have to just upload this on YouTube afterwards. But the amazing thing here, guys, is that we've been able to work very closely in with our community to kind of think through what could it be really cool to have an amazing physical experience that kind of represents us here as well. Yeah, I could definitely upload it on Twitter. That could probably be easily something that we can create here as well. You guys are saying the ether capsule auction isn't loading right. Is it? Oh, is it because I think it's because you guys slammed? No, see, look, it just popped up. It's that many people trying to slam into the ether raffle at the moment right now. is slowing it. So you guys can now click the button on the capsule. It just came up. You still have about 7 minutes, and it won't show up for a little bit because it looks like you guys are slamming all these numbers so crazily here at the moment right now. Pretty nuts, right? But this is kind of like the other opportunity here as well. No, there's not 1,200 village market people. I'd be amazed if there are 1,200 village market people. But this is kind of the fun thing of kind of building in this kind of community. We are building with some of the restrictions on the rate limiting bot, as Drew's kind of noting, right? It's very, very aggressive in how active this community is. Our bots are too strong here at the moment right now, which is crazy. Well, as we kind of scale this up, it's saying literally, it says, it's saying 1,200 people are online in the overall community. But yeah, no, I know what you in regard to how many people can view the page. Yeah, for sure. So don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people trying to click, so you should be able to click into it. But here, let me share my screen really quickly, and I want to give you guys this amazing thing that we've been working on with our community. And it was always this idea of how can we create a physical totem that represents our world and give this as an honor. And this is kind of where it's really powerful. So I'm going to share this video. I don't know if the audio will come through as cleanly. I apologize, but I will upload this video later. It's actually amazing. Like when you see the quality of what we put into this. So I'm going to play this really quickly. Hopefully you guys should be able to see this and hear this as well.
Access granted. Money kind of feeling heavy when I lift it up. Get it throwing dirt on my name, must be kicking. Get it feel some type of way, they must be lifting up. You need a fetch on the internet. What you mean?
Awesome. So if you were able to see that and it streamed correctly, what we've done is that we've actually created our own version of a lapel pin or a pendant that is an actual physical in this world. And our goal is to actually start giving these out as rewards to our amazing community members, right? And that's the other thing. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be awards specifically for non-diamond users as well. We want to make sure all of you guys get access to this. So we designed this custom. Shout out to Jaquan. He was amazing to work with on this front. And because of that, we want to kind of go through some of the amazing prizes and the amazing rewards that we want to kind of call out for people like this. And it starts with Jaquan himself. Jaquan worked incredibly hard. He took some of the world's worst sketches I could possibly create and handed them to him in order to kind of create this beautiful piece. And I mean, like, legitimately beautiful piece. And let me actually do this really quickly. Let me take a screenshot of one of these views. This one right here is probably the best view for us. So I just shared it, but I know some of you might not be able to see it, but it's glitzy, it's glamorous, it's just really fun. And here's the best part: these don't charge you anything. We're giving these away to our community, directly through, which is really cool. And they all have different colors, and each of the colors represents something different, right? And that's kind of how we're going to be offering value. So, our first award for the season of, 2023 actually goes to Jaquan himself. I want to say like a huge shout out to him. Not only was he the one who designed these, he brought the idea, he shared so many amazing concepts, right? And he's been working through that in iterations. But what's also amazing is that we're going to award him in two ways. One, he actually has the original lapel pins that we ever created. Those are in his possession. So he has like kind of what you could say is the prototype lapel pin, which I think is really amazing. But also what we're going to be honoring with him today is also a diamond. So with Jaquan here as well, he's been incredibly helpful. He made a diamond for us as a diamond asset. He deserves a diamond in return as well. And in doing so, we'll be giving him a full diamond. This will be vested, meaning that he won't be able to sell it for 100 days. But again, what we believe is that we want to be able to give value like this back. And we'll be doing this like every quarter, we're going to be giving out one or two of these kind of away to our community in value, because again, this community only works with each and every one of you. So guys, like shout out Jaquan for building this. I'll drop the video again so you guys can see it. It's amazing. And then of course, right, we're going to be able to give out some of these physical prizes out here as well too. So let's talk about some of the other ones that we want to community. And the next person I really want to call out here in honoring our community is none other than Silent Mode. Silent Mode has been one of the most amazing individuals that I've come across in Web3. And with Silent Mode, by working with this guy, not only has he been deeply, deeply valuable to our community, but very directly, he's been just a true community member through and through. So with that, we're going to be awarding him not only one of these diamond lapel pins, he'll be getting one of the blue diamond lapel pins, which is an honor of our community. There's only 4 of these in existence. He'll be receiving one of those 4 as well. Additionally, he'll also be receiving a premium whitelist spot as well in this upcoming quarter for his support in the community, and we'll be shipping this directly to him. Again, Silent Mode, it's really rare to find amazing people in Web3. Silent Mode is definitely at the top of that list. And I sincerely want to say thank you to him on everything he's doing, everything he's building, and everything he's scaling. He's incredibly powerful, incredibly valuable, and continues to be a part of this community. So shout out to Silent Mode as well. Additionally, as well, let's continue down the list for other great community members as well that have been part of this every step of the way. The next one I want to call out is Wild West Crypto. You've already seen a lot of the work that we've been talking about and showcasing with him as well. Wild West Crypto has been absolutely in the trenches, right? On every front, right? And he's been incredibly, incredibly helpful on everything that we're doing. So, additionally, not only will he be getting a blue diamond here as well for representing the community and unlocking value. And guys, Wild West Crypto is probably going to be one of your guys' best resources moving forward. So definitely, definitely stay in tune. And of course, these are the people you want to see getting honored, especially as we scale as well. A huge, huge shout out to what he's doing, what he's building, and what he's scaling. He's been amazing at every front and continues to be a great community member too. The third person I want to give a huge shout out to as well is the third award will go to Ray Shi. Ray Shi has been someone who's just always shows up, always giving insights, always giving feedback, always giving value. Ray has always been that type of person that is trying to give positive energy, positive insights, a positive value. And in doing so, right, what you see is that, you get to find these amazing individuals who again get a bunch of community members excited about what they're building and what they're doing. Reishi has always been there, especially in our comic book world as well. These guys have been absolutely stunning. Huge shout out to Ray. Ray's always continues to be there, and we want to continue to honor him as well. We'll be giving him, of course, a blue diamond lapel pin here as well. Congrats, man. So, outside of that, right, what's really amazing here as well, give, a few more shout outs and awards out to a few more community members who've been here in the trenches with us and award a few different versions, right? So, one of the other ones I want to shout out is Enrio. Enrio is probably one of the most amazing community partners out there. He continues to not only go above and beyond, but he also runs the largest sub chat, language group in our community here, in the Russian community, right? The Russian speaking community. And not only has he been here for a significant amount of time, right? But what's also been amazing is that he continually contributes in both languages. And he's actually going to be getting one of the exclusive green diamonds or green emeralds here in his pin as well. He's been just fantastic. We want to give a large shout out to him and give him all the flowers. If you're ever building a global community, having people who could speak multiple languages is so important. And we have multiple other great community members that we're going to be honoring here shortly, but we wanted to make sure we were able to call out Enrio. Enrio continues to be there every single step of the way. Shout out to him as well. Aside from that, the other award that we really want to give here as well is to none other than our boy Drew Bleem. Drew has been one of the most dream-worthy people to work with, and again, continues to help the community with his amazing systems, his amazing designs, and his amazing opportunities. So we'll also be giving him one of the green as well, as he continues to support the architecture here, but also really learning every step of the way. There's a bunch of amazing community members here, and we want to continue to shout them all out. And because of that, it's because of Drew who's been able to share a bunch of this vision, a bunch of these products, a bunch of these ideas, and bring them to life. And Drew, honestly, is also weirdly the most positive person I've ever met. So I love that. Always coming in with the right attitude, always figuring out ways to help, always thinking through ideas. Drew absolutely embodies what this community is. Drew, shout out. Not only will you get a diamond, you'll also get a premium whitelist spot here as well, coming up here very shortly. Additionally, behind that, I want to give out then a couple other special diamonds out to the community here too. A couple of the ones that I really want to give to are those that have really been supporting us on the ordinals front. So one of the guys that I just want to always give a huge shout out to is none other than Bruno. Bruno is probably one of the most intelligent people when it comes to ordinals as well. But also, what I love about Bruno too is that he went above and beyond to give a bunch of allocation, upside, and alpha to our community when it came to ordinals. Not only was he getting us to all see orange, right? But the other thing was Bruno was helping us all get onto right amazing projects, specifically ordinal rugs. That was a really big one that a lot of people really came in, right? Like this is kind of the other thing here is that almost all of these opportunities are going to be unlocked because of individuals like them. And with that, we're going to give Bruno one of our orange diamonds as well, of course, representing the ordinals ecosystem too. The second person I actually want to shout out on that as well is, of course, oh yeah, let me exit this screen sharing mode. Thanks, no problem. Is of course, I want to shout out another person who's been incredibly helpful on the ordinals side. It's none other than Zetman. Zetman, of course, has been always there, always sharing insights. He is doing a fantastic job. I mean, most people don't realize Zetman has a full-time job and he's still running probably one of the most hyped ordinal projects at the moment right now, right? Alongside Bruno, alongside Joey, alongside Steven. Shout out to them. Zetman was also really helpful in seeing different opportunities. He probably tricked half of our community to doing some pretty weird shit, like trying to go after late night BRCs, right? Trying to do random mints here. But he was always good at showing opportunities and also playing the counter argument, which I want to give him a lot of credit on. That counter argument is so powerful to be able to hear on different ideas and different projects. But of course, he's always been incredibly bullish, right, on the ordinals ecosystem and has been incredibly supportive there. So shout out to him. Want to give him a bunch of flowers. And again, if you guys aren't following, go check out Inked on BTC. That is going to be a killer project. Those guys are doing amazing stuff, and we want to be 100% supportive of what they're doing. We want to see Joey win. We want to see Steven win. We want to see all those guys win. We want to see guys like Gokche win and Irina win and Piotr win. We want to say a huge shout out to all of those individuals here as well. Additionally, we have 3 more awards that I want to go through quickly, and I'll call out some of the amazing people here as well. And these are essentially a lot of them who've been diamond holders too. And again, they've been incredibly helpful in our journey every step of the way. So we're going to be awarding these 3 people the white diamond, right? This is the diamond with white diamonds on it. It probably is aesthetically my favorite one of them all, and it makes sense. The really cool thing about this lapel pin too, if you actually look at the details of the lapel pin, is that not only does it have a diamond at the top, but it has the ether diamond, right, on the bottom. You could actually unscrew that ether diamond. It's the ether, it's the icon for an ETH, for the ETH icon diamond. And that's why you get the name Two Diamonds, right? That's kind of what we wanted to build it with. It's pretty amazing and really beautiful. So we want to give out some real value here. The first person I want to really call out for this as well is none other, um, excuse me, none other than Virgilius the Sorcerer. Virgilius has been a true supporter every step of the way. Not only has he been incredibly kind with his time, but he's also been one of the few that I might say he might be the biggest pixel art fan here in our community. Not only is he incredibly valuable for what we're doing, but my goodness, right? Can I give him a lot of credit on being really big in the Forgotten Runes universe as well? This guy loves fantasy pixel art left and right. Virgilius has always been there. We'll be giving him one of those white diamond opportunities as well. Thank you, Virgilius, for everything you've done. The second diamond that I want to be able to give out here for our community is none other than Armel. Armel has been an amazing on everything that we're doing. Our boy Armel has been working not only as a diligent community member, but he's actually been sharing amazing insights on the over the counter market here as well. And this is kind of the other amazing thing about Armel is that he's going to be sharing also a little bit moving forward in the future more of his insights as well to the larger community. So, for example, if you're not familiar, what we've been able to do is we've been able to try to keep a really close understanding of where the market is going on different over the counter sales, right? And this is actually a really important piece of data that I think all of you should be considering, right, as you build into this market. And for example, this is the way it looks like right now. Armel, oh man, the formatting sucks again. But imagine if you get every 2 weeks a breakdown of all of the over the counter sales happening that are confirmed on numerous projects, right? And this is kind of what you're able to see. You're able to kind of see which ones are right now trading. This is kind of the opportunity here. This is just really great data, right? In order for you guys to have access to this as well. And I think that's kind of the really big thing is that as you get more data on this front, you should be able to make more informed decisions as well too. And this is really, really exciting. So shout out to Armel. He's been incredibly helpful every step of the way. And in doing so has been incredibly kind in his generations here too. So real huge shout out there. Want to give him a ton of value there. The last one that we want to really give out a huge shout out to as well is none other than one of our largest diamond holders is Wee May. Wee May has been someone who's been really helpful in not only understanding a few of the markets that we're going after, but he's also been incredibly supportive for the Diamond's vision and where he's been going. Wee May was recently just telling us about his kind of winnings and earnings from this community here as well. And what was amazing is Wee May actually was able to generate over 35 ETH and cover his cost on 8 diamonds over the last year. But don't tell him this. The crazy thing is, right, is that he could have probably made around 50 or 55 ETH if he minted everything that was given to him as well. But just hearing that story and hearing that value is so exciting because, again, it showcases that there's an opportunity for real return, real value. There's numerous stories like that as well. And we want to give a huge, huge shout out to individuals like that, and individuals who continue to support our community there as well. And then last and far not least, we're gonna have our last diamond to go out to none other than ICO Beast. Our boy ICO Beast has been always here in the trenches, always giving insights, always giving support. But also, what I really do love about ICO Beast very directly is that he always tells it how it is. He's always going to give you your feedback very directly. And in doing so, right, he always has been a massive real one in this organization too. So because of that, right, huge shout out to ICO Beast and what he's doing, where he's scaling, where he's going. I think everything that he's done has been incredibly helpful for our long-term community as well. Huge shout out, and hopefully someone who will continue to give us insights. And yes, the dude keeps capturing wins. He won WeBox raffle last week. Really good to see kind of all those different opportunities kind of coming through. We want to keep unlocking that here as well. So, with that, you can see that there's all these amazing communities, but I want to give out one last shout out. There's one more person in our community that I think deserves the most praise, the most impact, the most support, right? And really, what is that going to be? It's none other than our boy Khan. Khan, if you're not here in this community, there's if you participate any bit in this community, you know who Khan is. Khan continually shows up. Khan continues to offer value. Khan goes out of his way to help anyone understand whenever they have open questions about something. I think this is very powerful, very supportive, and very honestly true to what I think a community member should be. And not only is he going to be able to get, a diamond, we're actually going to give him one of the rarer diamonds. It's actually going to be a ruby in a rose gold finish pendant. So he'll get a really rare lapel pen. It's the ruby edition one, right? And then separately, right, what we want to really give him a shout out for is that we have made him our 2023 Community Member of the Year. He's been incredibly, incredibly valuable on that front too. And in doing so, we'll also be giving him a diamond as well, right? Because if there's anyone who should own a diamond, it's Khan. Khan absolutely should be that person. He's been there every step of the way. He's been incredibly helpful in not only supporting this community with knowledge, but protecting this community and giving us insights on how we can continue to be better. These are the exact type of people you want to find and come across in Web3. You want to see all these amazing people across the board. So shout out to all of you. Shout out to all of you who supported this community. And this is just our small way of bringing and building a custom physical totem just for you guys. A physical totem that can't be bought. It can only be earned through these kind of ways. And that's the cool thing, is that we still have 15 more of these to give out. So over the next quarter, right, you guys will have other opportunities to be able to access this. And our goal is that you guys will actually get to vote on the people you want to nominate and then have a vote on that as well. And that's kind of the other beautiful thing here as well, is as we keep bringing these amazing people in, we're able to give them significant more wins, significant more upside, and significant more intrigue here as well. So that's kind of why I'm like really excited of where this market is going, right? And where, how this community has been formed. And a guy like Khan is exactly the person we want to give a ton of flowers to, a ton of support to, and a ton of impact to as well. So as we kind of wrap up here, I know we're a little over time and we'll share more. I want to just share that we're going to have a couple more events on the calendar. Moving forward, we do have this diamond event. We're going to share diamonds a little bit more. There's going to be very clear updates and changes to a lot of our products and our values. We're actually going to ensure that all of our products can move forward with the right people and the right teams. And because of this, right, our biggest challenge here now, right, is really now recognizing directly is how can we communicate this in an efficient way. So what we are asking now is, hey, we're going to work. We're going to try making sure that there's upside here. We made very clear changes. We're not looking to take any ETH on any of our ETH-based projects. We're going to do free mints across the board there as well. We're going to keep unlocking more upside as you keep going through the product experience. We're going to correct our flaws, right? Like we made the mistake on Tabula Rasa. We're going to guarantee refunds and find even other opportunities if that project wants to move forward. But no matter what, You as Tabula Rasa holders will have that choice completely on your own for any reason on how you want to do it. And in doing so, right, it's a simple understanding is that when we get and build and scale, we're going to make great options. We're going to take our best bets. We're going to make the best swings. We might not connect on all of them, but we're going to still try to do right and make sure that we could fix this. There's still a lot of other areas we need to fix in our community. There's a lot of ways that we got to improve our communication. These will continue. These will continue to improve. And we're going to change up this organizational structure as well. With all these changes, right, it means we hope that we could earn that trust back, but more importantly, we could resolve all of you who may have felt that we weren't aligned with you, right? This has been our biggest failure point, right? When we looked at some of our features of what we're building, and we know we're not going to make these same mistakes again. We're going to really ensure that, all this access points go to you guys, unlock and bring forward the amazing IP here, but also at the same time, you'll be more in control. Diamonds will be more in control. But of course, you as individual users, especially if you're Oath users, will also have control and votes as well within your own ecosystem too. So lots of cool things that are coming in our direction. As you can see, we have physical totems. We're going to have a lot more raffles as well. A bunch more giveaways to be coming out here as well. It's going to be kind of unlocking here very quickly and hopefully going to be very powerful for each and every one of you that you want to be a part of it. But at the same time, right, we're going to make these fixes, we're going to make these changes, and we're going to still be here in the trenches every single time. And if we can do that, I think you're going to see just a very clear opportunity of where this market's going to go and, hopefully where there's just return for you. I think the other big thing that you're going to see is I hope that you guys will have more time to be able to learn from our pixel artists, be able to unlock, be able to communicate, be able to tackle, and be able to see the amazing work they're creating. I think once you have that, you're going to see just this really, really, really big opportunity on kind of where the market is going and, of course, where the changes are going to be. We're going to have a lot more updates. The other things that you guys want to see here as well on the calendar is that we are going to make some big updates here on the calendar tomorrow. You're going to see that we're going to have a Refine Our Path town hall. We'll be answering questions during that as well. So feel free to join if you have more questions. There's a lot of elements that we're going to institute as changes here too. So feel free to join that here as well. Going to be pretty exciting. With that all, we're going to let you go. But before letting you go, let's get your favorite thing here as well and get you guys a relic here as well. Recap 2023 relic. And we'll push this over to you guys here right now. Let's make this a green color. Yeah. Actually, let's make it a gold color. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's all head to the secret chamber really quickly here at the moment right now. And we will do this here at the moment. Where is the secret chamber? Recap. Oops. New secret chamber code. 38 seconds. All right, the password is 9571. The password is 9571. Make sure you go there, enter in that code, and you'll have that relic here. We also are going to make some small updates into the relics here as well. There's going to be some changes on balancing of the relics and making them a lot more fair. There's a few areas that we also want to improve on that too. There's going to be just a bunch of new ways on where we can tweak this up. But like we said, we're going to make a bunch of opportunities, a bunch of changes, and a bunch of ways that we hope that when we reflect back, you guys felt that we made the right decisions on these improvements here as well. And we reacted this really quickly, right? In less than, a few days, a few weeks on this front from some of the feedback we have. I hope that we'll be able to unlock here. If you won one of the holiday airdrops, you'll be getting those holiday airdrops here over the weekend, right? Which is going to be pretty cool. So you'll get all of your airdrops there, including these raffles. Stay tuned, more raffles coming. Well, with that all, we're going to let you go. I'm going to jump over to the Tribe Diamond Council and jump into that chat here. More details, more feedback coming. Enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye now.